The easiest way to start, because everybody's sort of intimidated by the black canvas or the blank canvas or the piece of paper, is with black line, automatic black line, either in a dry drawing material or black paint, which is my preference. Big, bold marks, don't think about them, just put them down there and just see where your arm moves and your hand moves and your body moves. And that gives you something right away to respond to. So painting for me is all about action and response. You're always responding to whatever's there on the canvas, and it's having a conversation with you, and you're having a conversation back with it.
And
so that's my usual way. Yeah.
That's your usual. I know that you like to go on walks, on nature walks.
Yeah.
And you do stories by in your paintings. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. I've started doing this work that I call Notes from My Backyard. And what I do is I'll go for a walk. There's lots of forest and so on around here. So I'll go for a walk, usually on a trail or by a stream, or even in, just around my neighborhood amongst the houses. And I will have maybe a 12-inch roll of rice paper. Rice paper for me just works the best. You can have a really long roll. And a marking pen of some kind, something that will actually make marks on the rice paper. So the roll is in front of me, and as I walk, I draw and make marks on that roll. But I don't really look at it. I just keep unrolling it as I walk. And my thought in doing that is to, basically they're blind drawings. But for me, they're blind drawings, not necessarily based only on what I'm seeing, but they're based on what I'm hearing and what I'm smelling and what the wind feels like. So trying to bring the other senses in and just see how all those senses connect with my arm and my hand and the rhythm of my walking. And then when I get home, I'll have this big long roll of paper that's, kind of hanging up behind me.
Do you have anything by you that you can show us? I'm
sorry, I don't, because I can't go in my studio. I must have something turned off that I have to be on Wi-Fi to do this. So
no worries.
I had my studio all set up to show you stuff.
Yeah,
maybe
later today you can post something on your story so then the viewers can see what we're talking about. That'd be great.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah.
So tell me, what inspires you, or who's your inspiration?
I don't think I have any one inspiration. I mean, I love the abstract expressionists, mid-century abstract expressionists, the usual ones. But a lot of contemporary artists, some professional, some amateur. I'm really inspired by kids' art, really inspired by outsider art, and I mean, you maybe call some of it naive art. I really like those simple, primitive ways of drawing and painting. And kids' art inspires me a lot.
Now that we are living in our homes, we can go out for walks and be inspired by what's out there. And so what you're saying is bring a piece of paper with you and start drawing outside and see what comes of it. So
absolutely. Take whatever materials you can carry. I like to use a long roll of paper because I don't want to stop and change papers all the time. And eventually that big long roll of paper gets too long to drag along behind me, and I roll it up and start again. But do you usually work at home, or did you have to bring your stuff to work at home? I am one of those extremely lucky people that has a studio in my backyard. I moved to this house about a year ago, and the reason I moved here was because it had a double garage in the backyard. And I don't need a garage, but I absolutely need a studio. So I'm really lucky. I can work in my home, and I can work in my studio in my backyard. And,
that's amazing.
So I'm grateful for that every day.
Yes, there is no doubt, because you can find your space anywhere, really. Yeah. And that's what's most important. So if you had top three tips or lessons to give to a beginner artist, what would they be?
Start simple. You don't need a lot of art supplies. You don't need a lot of space. I've worked on kitchen tables. I've worked in bedrooms. I've worked in basements. I've worked in corners in the living room. You know, we've all done that, and it's just a matter of carving out a place for yourself to work. I think that's really important. Don't have to put your stuff away every 5 minutes and get it back out again, because it is really hard to get it back out again. It's not hard to put it away, but it's really hard to get it back out again and get going again. So that would be really important. Carve out a space for yourself. You don't need a lot of supplies. Start simple, and don't be, especially at this particular time, don't be precious about it. Nobody's making masterpieces right now. We all think, you know, we've got all this time and we can spend it in our studios and have all this freedom. It's like an art residency, but that's really hard. I mean, most of us are struggling just to feel motivated to work, even though we have the time to do it now, which we might not have had before. So don't expect perfection of yourself. When you look at other artists on Instagram, just remember that they've curated what they're showing you. They're not showing you their piles of junk that they did in the studio all day. So
it takes a lot of junk to get to the one, right? It
takes a lot of junk. So don't be disheartened by what you're seeing coming from other artists out there, because that's not really what they're doing all the time. So
and I think that most people that are not creative, or they think that they're not creative, now is the time to start doing something, learning something new. You know, going into like either drawing or painting or learning a new language or learning how to play a new instrument. But try to keep your mind occupied during the day, because there's so much noise right now out there that
distraction
really
is key.
It is key.
Distraction is key right now.
It is.
And creativity is the best distraction of all, because not only is it distracting, but it makes you feel really good. In all ways, and I think it's the number one way to distract yourself right now. But it's not easy. It's not easy to get the motivation or get started, and just start small. Just what I'm working on, I really had trouble when this started. Even though I have all this time in my studio, I had really a lot of trouble getting focused in the studio. So so one of the things that I'm working at, and again I apologize I can't show you, is I'm working on narrow pieces of canvas, like 12 to 15 inches, or pieces of paper, long narrow pieces of canvas and paper on a narrow table, and then I'm only working on maybe 15 to 20 inches of them at a time. And it's almost like working in a sketchbook. You work on that 15 to 20 inches, and then you roll it up and work on the next part and the next part. And that's allowed me to not feel overwhelmed, because I'm only working on a small thing, and it's becoming a bigger thing because it's this big, long roll of paper.
So I think what we should do, Jane, is have a part 2 with you where you can have your samples and we can show everyone. And you and I will talk, when will that be? But what I really would like to take this opportunity is any artists that want to share their stories, that want to share their creativities, and share their work, please DM me so I can go live with you and we can share the love and inspire everyone. And hopefully at the end of all this, my biggest goal is for each one of our artists to make a small piece, an 8x8 or 8x10, and sell that as a collection. And 100% of the proceeds will go to a food shelter that really needs our help right now. So, Jane, if you want to just tell us where we can find your work and all your social media, that'd be great. Okay.
Well, mostly I'm on Instagram. At MPJ Kenyon. And my website is janekenyon.com.
Awesome, Jane. We'll see you soon again, and we'll have more.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you for joining me
Thanks
today.
for doing this, Sandra.
Oh, my pleasure.